Welcome back. The People's Collective of the United People's Freedom Alliance says that they will not at any time allow for the weakening or removal of the powers provided by the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. Speaking at a media briefing convened by the collective today, 5 cabinet ministers expressed the following views.
The media briefing was held under the theme, "Let's bring forth Sri Lankan unity in a unitary state," with provincial councils. Proper views can be provided to the people in the villages via the provincial council system by devolving powers right up to the village level. As we know the Tamil and Muslim communities in our country, we must act to build a favourable stance towards this internationally. This will be made easy for us if we take the 13th Amendment we have now and the provincial council system and have true devolution of power right up to the village level. They are inciting unnecessary fear. Based on different concepts, they are creating fear. This will erode in democracy, it will deepen it and rejuvenate it. This must be given to the people through the provincial councils. That would be correct. In truth, the rights of minorities is a problem with democracy. It is not an ethnic problem, but a problem with democracy. When we are trying to cover the nakedness of nationalism in our country with a nice government, some are asking that we remove the trousers, which are the provincial councils. We say that we are not prepared to remove the trousers, neither are we prepared to put on our underwear over our trousers. Some are speaking of major international interference in order to appear as heroes. They commence fast and abandon it halfway.
මගදී අතාරිනවා මේක රජයේ මතේ නෙවෙයි නිහඬ මහා හඬක් තියෙනවා හැබැයි ඒ හඬ නිහඬයි මේ උතුරු පළාත් සභාවට විරුද්ධ කට්ටිය නියෝජනය කරන්නේ ඊටාම.
It is an extreme minority that represents groups opposed to the Northern Provincial Council. Today they are trying to turn the government's stance on its head and lead the people of this country astray. Who are the defendants for the destruction that was caused by the one language policy and the no provincial councils policy? Who went to the gallows? Nobody. Even today these people want to present a Sinhala stance in order to grab the attention of the Sinhala Buddhist people of this country and maintain Tamil areas as colonies.
Sinhala බෞද්ධ ජනතාවගේ කැමැත්ත දැහැගැනීම සඳහා සිංහලවාදී මතයක් උඩ දෙමළ ජන ප්‍රදේශයටත් ප්‍රදේශයට තියාගන්න. මේ මම මේක කරන්න පටන් ගත්තට පස්සේ
When I commenced this campaign, the majority of ministers in the Sri Lanka Freedom Party said that if some proposal is brought to reduce these powers, then we need not fear because they would all stand against it on that day. How many SLFP cabinet ministers stood in support of Ranawaka and Veeravansa? Did they come forward to speak for them? Which senior minister spoke for them?
Let's now take a look at some of the views that have been expressed by various factions on the 13th Amendment to the Constitution.
5 ministers want the 13th Amendment. There are 13 more who do not want it. I don't think they have realized the harm that would befall this country through the 13th Amendment. After granting normal powers, a school teacher was brought to the grounds of the school and was made to kneel. If this teacher's issue was not aired by Sirasa, that teacher would not have received any justice. Do we need this provincial council system that makes teachers kneel? If the powers in this 13th Amendment are granted, then the Chief Minister will be on top and there will be no use for a president. There is a process to create problems in this country by expressing various views on the 13th Amendment. All the Sinhalese, Muslims, Tamils who live in this motherland are preparing to break down this separatism. The President is providing leadership to this process by uplifting this country, and we need your blessings.
When
Minister Raja Senaratne is saying that the 13th Amendment should remain the same and should be protected, the party he represents has a different opinion. I would like to tell him that before he speaks on protecting the 13th Amendment, he should resign from his ministerial position and give up his parliamentary seat and should resign from the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. To do that, one needs to have shame. Come for a debate with me. If he is able to prove that it is wrong for me to hold a provincial council portfolio while I am objecting to the provincial council system, I will step down from my position as provincial minister. I did not call him for a debate, neither did I call anyone else for a debate. After 25 years, I am not crazy to go for a debate. There is a leech trying to cling on to me to show that he too is a big shot. I will cast this leech aside.
Veteran political analyst and former diplomat Dr. Dayan Jayatillaka says that the danger of not implementing the 13th Amendment to the Constitution far outweighs any dangers that could arise as a result of its implementation. He points out that problems arose when former Chief Minister of the Northern Province, Vardaraja Perumal, demanded more powers than were provided through the amendment. Dr. Dayan Jayatillaka expressed these views on the program Sithijaya, which will be telecast on our sister channel Sirasa TV at 11:15 tonight.
It is not that there is no danger in implementing the 13th Amendment. There is a danger, but I am of the belief that it is far more dangerous not to implement the 13th Amendment. Do you think that Vardaraja Perumal tried to exercise limitless power and take this in another direction? In truth, moderates and leftists in the LTTE in Tamil nationalistic politics were also of the stance that the 13th Amendment was insufficient. When some people say that Elam can be achieved through the 13th Amendment and that the 13th Amendment is another name for Elam, it makes me laugh. We need to understand that Velupillai Prabhakaran went to war against this amendment. Now certain persons are trying to teach the late Prabhakaran how to achieve Tamil Elam. The PRF, headed by Vardaraja Perumal, were of the stance that the 13th Amendment was insufficient even before they took their seats in the Provincial Council. I was there and I said, how are we to know if it is sufficient or not unless we take our seats there and implement it? What happened was that they took their seats with the wrong opinion, with the opinion that this was insufficient. This opinion persists even today. It is existent within the TNA as well.
News First Mahina Bongso's interview with Dr. Dayan Jayatillaka in English will be telecast on MTV Sports on Thursday after prime time news.
What is the difference there again? The 13th Amendment.
Why you really resigned from the Northeast Provincial Council?
The 13th Amendment satisfies neither the Tamils nor the Sinhalese.
So you were talking about implementing the 13th Amendment of the Constitution.
Become a platform for something more.
Let's now take a look at the newspaper cartoon of the day, which we selected from today's English newspapers.
Minister of External Affairs Professor G.L. Pierce says that the concept of human rights is being used as a political tool today. In an interview with an Australian television network, Professor Pierce also said that he can guarantee the safety of the people returning to Sri Lanka after failed asylum seeker claims in countries such as Australia.
They have been returned by Australia because Australia was convinced that they were not in danger. And Australia is not alone in that. Large numbers have been sent back from the United Kingdom. NGOs and others have gone to the British courts arguing that it is unsafe to return them. But those claims have been rejected by British courts. And large numbers continue to be returned to Sri Lanka. This is because it is now dawning on all these countries that these people have self-serving, self-seeking motive, and the action taken by these governments independently is proof enough of the fact that conditions in Sri Lanka are stable and that there is no danger at all to these people.
Canada's not alone in calling for an international inquiry into these alleged war crimes during the Civil War. The United Nations Human Rights Council is calling for a similar investigation, which you have rejected as a government. Would you ever reconsider an inquiry into the war?
That is not quite correct. The United Nations Human Rights Council is not calling for an international investigation. They have called for a credible investigation, an independent, credible investigation, which we are perfectly happy to conduct. And already there are several cases being investigated where evidence is available. It can't be done on the basis of hearsay or wild allegations, reckless allegations, but where there is evidence which will stand up to scrutiny in a court of law, certainly we are prepared to investigate. I might also point out to you that the resolution that was carried was not the first resolution. The first resolution to be brought against Sri Lanka was brought not by the United States but by Canada. On that occasion, the situation was so bad from the Canadian point of view that they decided not to proceed with this because there was no support at all. But the situation changed dramatically when the United States decided to bring this resolution. Countries find it very difficult to say no to the mover of the resolution, a country that is as powerful as the United States. We know that. Several countries have told us that. How can we say no to the US? And today human rights is being used increasingly as a political tool. It is being used selectively, subjectively. There are plenty of double standards with no consistency or uniformity whatsoever in the criteria that are applied across the board.
An Indian Air Force helicopter on a rescue mission crashed in Uttarakhand, India this evening. India's NDTV quoted government sources as saying that 19 people were on board and there are no survivors. But the Air Force said 8 bodies have been found. Its officials have identified 5 crew members and 3 civilians. The National Disaster Management Authority said paramilitary officers were also aboard the helicopter. The News First International Desk is monitoring this fast developing story and will keep you updated. Still in local news, Executive Committee member of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Attorney-at-Law Gunaratna Vanninayaka says that his life is under threat. Vanninayaka claims to have been interrogated by an unidentified group yesterday.
කිසියම් නාදුන උජ්ජලේ වාහනයකින් ගිහිලා අපේ ගෙදරට දෙවතාවක් ගිහිල්ලා තිබෙනවා සොයලා තියෙන වනිනායක මහත්මයා.
Yesterday, unidentified persons came to my residence in a vehicle twice during the day. They had asked my housemate where I was and if I was in Katharagama. She said that I was in court. I was in court and my driver was outside in the Hulstorf court complex. These unidentified persons had come near where my vehicle was parked and had asked my driver if this is Vanninayaka's vehicle. At about 2:15 in the afternoon, 2 persons entered the court complex. They asked me if I was Vanninayaka and I said yes. Then they asked for my visiting card. I gave them a card, but after that I was suspicious as to whether they had come here for a case. I saw these persons going near a vehicle and discussing something. They were near the gate and I gestured to them by hand. They came and said that they had been informed that my driver was carrying an unlicensed weapon and that they were investigating the matter. Then they brought my driver to the location and I confirmed that he was my driver. Then they said that they had made a mistake, apologized to me and left the premises.
ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් පරීක්ෂා කරන්න අපි ආවේ. ඒ අනුව ඒ අවස්ථාවේදී මම රියදුරා ගෙන්නෙව්වා. ගෙන්නවලා මේ පුජ්‍යලයා තමයි මගේ රියදුරා කිව්වා. ඒ අවස්ථාවේදී කිව්වා අපිට වැරදීමක් සිද්ධ වුණා. වැරදීමක් සිද්ධ වෙනවා අපිට සමා වෙන්න කියගෙන ඔව් සියලු දෙනා එළියට පැන්නා.
News First made inquiries regarding this matter from the police media spokesperson SP Buddhika Sirivardhana. He said that investigations into the incident have commenced. Attorney-at-Law Gunaratna Vanninayaka had lodged a complaint with the Keselwatha police last evening, saying that a group of persons claiming to be police officers had come to court and questioned him in the afternoon.